Okay, I'm going to ask each of you in turn to, first of all, tell us about yourself. So why don't we start with Margaret?
Oh, hi. My name is Margaret French, formerly Margaret Doors. I've lived in the Freetown Lakeville district since 1989. I raised 4 girls that went through all of the schools except Freetown Elementary. I even had one that went through Grace before it got closed down. I'm in the education field. I hold a license to teach grades 8 through 12 in math. Um, Currently, I'm teaching at Mass Maritime. I have done time at both public and private high schools. In the Freetown Lakeville School District, I have substitute taught in the high school and at Assawamsett in the middle school. Um, I have been part of many committees in the school. I was on school council at Assawamsett for a couple of years. I was on the committee to open Graham's at the end of that building construction. Um, I've been involved in the Freetown Lakeville Girl Scouts, the Freetown Lakeville Destination Imagination Team. Um, I don't know what else to say.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Bob?
Well, I've been in Freetown all my life. I was born here, raised here. I went to all the school systems, including
Can you
Apponequet.
speak a little bit louder?
Sure. I said I've been born in Freetown all my life. Went to Apponequet, graduated from Apponequet. I have a bachelor's and master's in education. I've been active in the community since I graduated from high school, thanks to Ralph Gurney, who grabbed all the young men when they graduated from high school and said how important working with the community was. So for 5 years, I was a volunteer on the Freetown Fire Department. Then I volunteered on the Conservation Commission for 3 years, and I've been on the school committee for 30 years. In that 30 years, I think I've held every position, from chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer. I've served on every committee, from evaluation from the superintendent all the way down to evaluation of the custodians, every subcommittee. I think I've held every position that they've had to offer. Last year, I was proud to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. Excuse me, there's somebody at the door.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Well, I wasn't
Jennifer,
finished, but
are you done? No?
I wasn't finished, but that's okay.
Okay,
I just love being on the school committee and serving the town. I continue to do that until I can't do it anymore, because I have a strong sense of loyalty to the town. It's done a lot for me, and I just love the town. And now that we're a regional district, I just love serving Lakeville and Freetown as well. So that's my background, I guess. I currently teach in several different colleges. I'm an adjunct professor, Bridgewater State, Massasoit, Bay State, Mass General Hospital. I'm currently teaching in the nursing program at Massasoit Community College for the past 10 years.
okay, what do you teach?
I teach anatomy and physiology.
Okay, sounds interesting.
That's cool.
Not retired yet.
Doesn't sound like you've got time to get retired. Okay, Jennifer, your turn.
So my name is Jennifer Blum. I have 2 children in the school department right now. My oldest son is a senior at Apponequet. My youngest son is going into the 8th grade at the middle school. I am very active in both of their educations and been advocating for both of them for years. Professionally, I'm a financial planner, and I also am the founder and director of the Help Save Foundation, which is a foundation that helps families and children of domestic violence. I've been in a lot of schools throughout not only this district, well, not really actually in this district, but all throughout Massachusetts. I typically work with children ages 6 through high school and into college, teaching them about healthy relationships and dating violence. I also have done a ton of work in our community just with the foundation and helping families in our communities with domestic violence that have come from domestic violence. And I've also worked in a lot of private groups. I've done camps and I've worked in after-school programs, all educating our children in the community. So I've definitely had my share of the kids within our communities.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, could you please give us your qualifications for this post? Margaret?
Hi. Currently, I have a master's in mathematics and a master's in mathematics education. I am defense within my doctorate in math education. I've been involved in education as a teacher and as an assistant in the special ed department at Apponequet. I used to cover special needs tutoring outside of the school. I've been on the other side of the table as a teacher for school committees, and I've seen how they run, and I would like to be part of our school committee as another way of giving back to our towns and to our school district.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Well, as I said before, I've got 30 years experience on the school committee, but I also 24 years as a teacher in Randolph. And after that, I was assistant to the superintendent in Randolph. So I've seen both sides of the table as well, where I learned a lot of human resource and communication skills. And I was also a medical placement officer, I guess you would call it, and that I placed and then evaluated medical students in a lot of clinics and hospitals. So that gave me a lot of evaluation skills that I didn't have before, which I find helpful when I serve on different committees in the school committee. So I think I've had a real robust experience with all those things that you need when you're serving on the committee.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Jennifer?
So I would say primarily my qualifications would be the advocacy that I do in our communities for our children. I think that's very important in going into a school committee, is that I do work with a lot of children now. I work with parents and teachers, and I do a tremendous amount of advocating for everybody involved. Another thing is my communication skills are great. I do a lot of communicating, of course, between parents, teachers, and students, and we've had great luck with that. So I believe communication is key, especially when you're working within towns and budgets and such. So qualifications wise, I mean, I don't have degrees as far as that's concerned. I have real life experience in the field, working with the school departments and working in the after school programs, and really one-on-one with a lot of our community children.
Okay, thank you. Third question is, why do you want this position? Margaret?
Well, as I said, my children received so much from this school district. They all 4 went on to college, graduated, are very successful in their fields, and I want to give back. I've tried in volunteering, in substituting, in, again, as I said, working with the special needs students, but I'd like to do more. And I see this as a way of getting involved in the neighborhoods, in the community, in the school district and bring my expertise and my connections and my resources, especially in this age of what are we doing with our schools and working online and things like that.
Okay, thanks. Bob?
Well, again, I stated, I just love the two communities. I enjoy what I'm doing. I have a wealth of experience in what I'm doing. I've actually been asked by 3 committee members to stay on, and I'm more than willing to do that because the committee that we have now is one of the best that I've worked with in a long time. I really enjoy them. I'm committed to the towns. I like it, and if I didn't like it, I wouldn't stay on. It's just a way of giving back, and the community is giving back a lot to me. And like I said, I love it. I love the town, especially Freetown, and I'm going to continue to give back. It's ingrained in me, and I'm going to continue to do it until I can't do it anymore.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Jennifer?
I'm going to agree with Bob. I mean, the school committee and the way the school systems work between the towns is really great. I've talked to a lot of people, residents within the town, as well as teachers, and everybody is pretty happy with the way things run. And I think that that's a great balance, and I would love to be part of that and bring some new insight or new ideas or some fresh ideas to your program. I also believe that education is a need, not a want. And I think it's important for people to understand that. And I would definitely want to be more involved in my community here and making sure that I can advocate for the children the way they deserve to be advocated for.
Okay, thank you very much. 4th question, how do you think we can improve our schools? Margaret? Do you mind being first all the time? Because
I would prefer not to be.
I don't mind being first at all.
Okay, Jennifer, why don't you go first on this one?
I think that every year provides a different challenge, and the school committee needs to provide an education, and that the town really needs to work on the funding part of it. And it's a balancing act, but I do believe there needs to be constant communication between the towns to build trust. And again, I think that, you know, education is a need and not a want, and bringing everybody together and being on the same page is where it's going to all start.
Okay. Bob,
Would you repeat the question?
the question was, how do
Did I
you
get
think
you with my answer?
Excuse me?
I was just nothing.
Okay. How do you think we can improve our schools?
Well, the short answer is more money.
Right.
But that I don't think is coming, especially this year with the economy the way it took a downturn. There's always new challenges that come up, and you have to provide the leadership and the ideas to get around those challenges. Now, whether it's improving programs, adjusting programs, trying new programs, there are a variety of things you can do to update things to keep up with the educational changes that take place every year. One of the things you can do is to try and get the Department of Ed to fund the mandates that they create for the school system, because they're always pushing new mandates on the school, but they're not providing the funds to pay for them. So we end up paying more money out of the general ed budget to pay for things, which takes away from the regular ed budget. So if we can, and every year at the Massachusetts MASC convention, there are always resolutions to do that, but they've all been unsuccessful so far. Another thing we need to do to gain more funds is to make the state pay for regional transportation. They're supposed to pay 100%. They've never paid 100%. So that's another way to get more funds, to put into education, to provide needed books, supplies that would go a long way to improving our situation. Want me to keep going?
Okay, thank you, Bob. Margaret?
There's not much more to say after Bob is done. It all boils down to money and with all the mandates. And that's one thing that, I can agree with Jennifer, communication is key. To make sure that we're very clear and communicate to everybody what is mandated, what we don't have a choice about, and prevent people, the teachers, the parents, the town members of thinking that we're trying to pick and choose where our budget goes, and get a sense of working together, collaborating on where does our budget go, how can it be used, how can we get more, and Bob's experience leads us to some choices there, and see if there's anything else. But our teachers are wonderful, our schools are great, we can be better if we can fund them.
Okay, thank you. Fifth, what are your ideas moving forward? Bob, we'll start with you.
Ideas regarding what, Lucille?
Ideas for what we can do in the future to improve the schools and education.
Well, again, you can harass, for a better word, our representatives to fight for us on the House and the Senate to provide more funds. We had a bill passed last year that is supposed to put $1.5 million over a period of 7 years. It was actually a bill to reform the Funding Act, but I think that bill is going to die, and it was designed mostly to put funds into low-income communities. I forget the name of it. It was designed by Carmen Diaz, I think. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it escapes me. I forget the name of it, but I'd petition the legislature more and try and put more pressure on the legislative body to provide us with more funds. That's the only way I think you're going to get any money. I mean, I'm a big money guy as far as you need funds to create more programs. We're talking about maybe offering A&P courses for the freshman class. Now, that I think might be a good idea, but that's more books, more textbooks. Where do you get the money for that? That might be a good initiative, just for an example.
Okay, thank you. And now, I guess Margaret?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I've got them all written down, so no
Good.
problem. What are your ideas going ahead, going forward?
I would like to see how much we can get everyone together. As I said, communication, see what we can do as far as getting our wonderful teachers together and trying to work on these programs. We have a set amount of money. We have a budget. We're trying to, as Bob said, trying to get more money. But what if we can't? We still have to give our students the best education that we always have been, and maybe brainstorm some ways that we can offer things, programs on a smaller budget, and using the resources of our own teachers, our own administrators, our own community members, and see where that can help.
Okay. Next question, number 6.
And what about me?
Oh,
I didn't get the answer.
I threw myself off by switching the order. Jennifer.
So I actually heavily agree with Bob as far as the legislation part. I've seen it happen in a lot of different towns and states, and you know, when it comes to legislation and really pushing our senators and the people that are in the state house, I have a lot of experience with that. 2 years ago, I spearheaded a law that went into effect last year, 2019, for domestic violence, and it was completely unopposed. So as far as the legislation part, I think that's really important. A lot of people kind of skip over that, and they don't realize how important it is to consistently reaching out and consistently being on top of our state representatives to get us more funding. I would like to see more funding versus working, you know, obviously we have to work with what we have right now, but there's so many things that are going to be cut because of that. And I would like to work a little further towards gaining more money, and so that we can expand those, because we have a great program here. The high school is fantastic all the way down. I mean, having more funding to support these kids and these teachers would be ideal. So I would like to work harder towards getting us more money so that we can continue these programs and expand our programs. And ideally, communication between the towns. I mean, I know I keep going back to communication, but it's the one thing I've heard so much about that really needs work on, and it's the communication between the towns. And so, you know, for me, I'd like to be part of that and make sure that I'm available to be able to help with how we can all communicate together and make this run even smoother than it is already.
okay, thank you. Number 6, what needs to change? If you haven't already talked about it yet. Okay, Jennifer, let's start with you.
Honestly, in what I have seen and heard from everyone I've spoken to in the district, whether it be teachers, parents, administration, this is a well-oiled operation. It really is. It runs very smoothly. Everyone that's been on the board thus far has done a pretty great job at making sure that the logistics are taken care of. As far as change, I mean, I don't know necessarily how much more I want to change, other than, again, what I keep heading on, which is the communication between the towns. Otherwise, I think this community has done a great job of putting everything together so far. I just want to be a great addition to your team. I want to be able to provide more insight or different insight in whatever it is. I mean, specifically anything that I want to see changed. I mean, maybe a little bit in our special education departments, which I have a pretty good experience in. Otherwise, you guys have done a great job. I mean, hats off to everybody that's been on these committees, because I've heard nothing but wonderful, positive things. In asking my community members what they wanted to see change, most of it came down to the special education part. Otherwise, everyone's very happy with the teachers that we have here, with the administration that we have here, with everybody that's serving on the boards. So that's all I could see that I would want to change: communication, legislation, and quite possibly changing a few things in the special ed department if I could do that.
Okay, thank you. Margaret?
There's not much more to say than that. Yes, communication needs to be much more open amongst all the shareholders, the parents, the community members, the teachers, both towns. Jennifer really brought it to light. There has been lack of communication between Freetown and Lakeville historically. and it would be great to get that open and, really, really fluent. We need the money. We need that legislation piece. What to change? Everything is going so well. Aponequid is such a high-ranking school. There's really not much to change, just improve what we have. And I would like to be, part of the group that helps it become even better than it already is.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
I don't know if I would use a change as much as the word increase, because I think our staff is appreciated, but under this COVID-19 and the changes that we've experienced, I would like to see even more appreciation for our staff, our students, our parents, for what they've been going through. I think they're doing an amazing job on all three levels, and I'd like to see even more respect and appreciation for the job that they're doing, because I think under the circumstances, it's truly amazing what they've accomplished, and it's not a change, but it's an increase, and I'd like to see that.
Okay, thank you. So, classroom size. Bob, you just pointed out the effort that the staff and teachers are making during this time of this pandemic. I heard today that a recommendation was being made because of this pandemic to reduce class size to no more than 10 students in a class. I think right now class size is someplace around 20. What are your ideas for how we could accommodate a class size of 10 students?
Well, the latest number I've heard from Department of Ed is 12 students.
Okay,
And what my ideas don't matter, because they're gonna dictate what happens. But if it is 12 students, they're gonna have to do 1 week, one week homeschooling, 1 week in school, or they're gonna have to have split sessions, or they're gonna continue to have homeschooling. I mean, because the capacity of the schoolrooms, we don't have enough schoolrooms to go full-time with that number of students. So there's a variety of ways to do it from my perspective. And I think that the Department of Ed is going to have to come out with more specifics on how to do it. I mean, even when you think of the number of face masks that are going to have to be provided, the logistics of it, to just say 12 students in a classroom 6 feet apart, there's got to be more specific information, and that's the latest I heard was 12 students.
okay, that's still not much more than 10. And I think what either number is, it doesn't really matter. It still poses a problem for the school system.
Well, like I say, there's a variety of ways you can do it, but
Uh-huh.
I think you have to wait more longer to see what specific. Those are all guidelines, and there's some ways you can do it, and I don't think none of them are really really great.
Okay, Margaret?
I'm in the same position myself. Like I said, I teach at Mass Maritime, and we're still on the fence on what's going to happen in September. We have bigger kids and trying to have that social distance. We have been coming up with some creative ways of doing it. It comes down to the same thing everybody's talking about. Split sessions, morning, afternoon, but then you've got the busing issue. Or if you do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a Tuesday, Thursday groups, every other week groups, no idea is best. We just have to sit down and have that conversation on what is easiest on families, what is easiest on the teachers, and what is going to be the most beneficial for the students themselves.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer?
So I agree. I think at this point, it's going to be a waiting game. I've talked to a lot of students over the last few weeks about, you know, how they felt about going back to school. And now with the new guidelines and the masks, my oldest son, he works the after school program and kids cafe through the summer. And I will tell you that it was a little bit difficult trying to figure out how everyone was going to feel about wearing a face mask for 7 hours a day, because we still are not educated enough as to what effects we're going to have breathing our own carbons in constantly. So, you know, I think that's a whole other issue that we need to address. And yes, as far as the face mask, I mean, we're going to be having to provide face masks, making sure they're adequate, making sure whatever is coming from home is adequate. The socialization part, I mean, I'm having a really hard time. You know, kids, they all go to school and they socialize. I have two. So one of mine goes to school just for social reasons, and the other one goes to school for academic reasons. And so I see both sides of it. And, you know, socially, I'm not saying that studying from home and, you know, homeschooling is the best for them, but I'm not sure how good 12 students in a classroom and not having gym and not having art and the interactions where they actually can be social are not going to be allowed. I just don't see how that's going to work effectively in their learning. And again, back to the face mask. I mean, we're talking about our children going back to school, wearing face masks. Anyone that knows anything about face masks at this point knows that you have to stay well hydrated. So by these kids having to now stay well hydrated, not only are they removing their masks to drink, but now you're bringing up a whole other thing, which is bathroom use. Now, there's a lot of bathroom use as it is. So regardless, now we're having our kids hydrate as much as possible because they have to. And then you're going to have constant disruptions in and out of the classrooms because children are going to have to get up and utilize the bathroom whenever they need to, or they're going to rehydrate and need more water. So I definitely have my concerns as what's going to happen as September approaches. And I look forward to seeing the different changes that they're going to make to this, because at this point, I know I'm personally not super excited about sending my children back under the guidelines that have been set forth. I do think that that's going to change as time changes and we see how this opening of the state happens. But I think there's a lot of concerns right now with going back to school. It's definitely on everybody's mind.
I agree. There's a lot of unanswered questions right now, and it's worrisome for sure. I'm glad I wrote these questions down ahead of time. Okay, we're almost done. Number 8, how can we fund the improvements that we think need to be made? Jennifer, why don't we start with you?
So I'm going to go right to the top because I have experience in that. And as I had said earlier, I agree with Bob. Legislation is number one, pushing legislation. In the meantime, while we're advocating for that and while we're pushing for that, you know, fundraising, a little bit different. As a parent of 2 children in the town, I know when the fundraiser stuff comes, it's difficult because today's fundraising is different than even when I was a kid fundraising, where, you know, you were told to go to your neighbor's house and now we kind of tell everybody not to. So I guess there'd have to be a lot of different ideas and different things. I think that these towns that we're working with, they love their school department so much. They love their teachers so much. They see so much positive happening in our community with the schools and with their children in schools that we all need to just bond together and think of different fundraising ideas that are going to work, where it's not necessarily so much on the children going door to door, but maybe something else. I mean, legislation for me is number one, because I've seen it work and I know it can work. And I know if you push hard enough and you're the squeaky wheel, you do get the oil. It's just a matter of having someone that's committed or having a team that's committed to doing that. Otherwise, we just have to keep up with our fundraising and really push the parents and teachers of our community to continue to help us as they are.
Okay, thank you. Margaret?
I agree. Legislation is the very first thing that we should be doing. And as Bob brought up earlier, even on the state level, there's been the money, he said, for the regional busing that we were promised and we never received, and fighting for every penny that we're supposed to have. Fundraising in today's world, I'm not sure. I don't know how to do that, but I am willing to bet that there are plenty of people in our schools and in our communities that do have some great ideas, and let's pool their resources and their talents to help us get whatever fundraising off the ground.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Again, it goes back to legislation, but how about changing the funding formula so that it's more fair as far as rural schools are concerned? You just can't keep going to the well in the local community. For every person that has a child in the school, there's a person out there who doesn't and is not fond of the school because they think they're putting too much money into the school already. There's some innovative ideas out there. I heard one the other day. How about a lottery ticket whose profits just go to the local schools? That of course has to be approved by the legislature, but you know, the parking lot is littered with lottery tickets. Some people will throw $20 away on that. But they want $20. They won't give it to the school. I would like to see the transportation money come to us that's owed. I would like to see the mandated monies given to the school. It does start with the legislature. You just can't keep knocking on doors. You get to a point of no return. So that's where it's got to come from. Change the funding formula, come up with some maybe innovative ideas to raise money, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Okay, thank you. Now, the last question. Almost there. Okay, the last question is, what are your closing thoughts on the subject of our schools? Jennifer Blum?
My closing thoughts is that, again, you guys have done a great job. Everybody that's on the committee has really pushed forward and done a great job. I've heard nothing but wonderful things. I've seen it with my own eyes in the school systems right now. Both of my children thrive. Anything that I need, I'm able to reach out, and I'm spoken to immediately, which I absolutely, as a parent in the community, think is fantastic. Otherwise, I mean, I would really like to be able to provide you guys with some different insights, some different ideas, be able to push all my advocating skills in a different direction for you guys than what I'm normally doing. But again, you know, I'm here and I want to be able to advocate for our community. I want to be able to do it for the teachers and all of our staff members. Everybody in this organization is fantastic. Again, I've been in several different schools. I see the way different schools are run. I'm very friendly with a lot of different principals in different towns, and I've just been completely amazed at how this school system runs. And a lot of it has to do with all of the people that are in place right now. I just want to be a great addition to what you guys already have. I want to add as much more positive to the positive you guys are already doing. And I think I would do a great job at that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, Bob Clark?
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes. The question is, what are your closing thoughts?
Well, my closing thoughts are, first of all, the good news is that I don't think we're going to be impacted as much this year as people think. We have some money in E&D. We're going to get some transportation money back, obviously. Hopefully we get some grant money back, some circuit breaker money back. We're going to have school choice money coming in, some retirement money coming in. So I think we're going to be all right this year. It's next year that we're worried about. So I think I don't think anybody has to get worked up about next year. It's the following year that I think is going to be difficult. So we're going to have to watch what we do as far as funding is concerned. Again, push the representatives to see what they can do. Cross our fingers, and any grants that we have, apply for them, and hopefully we'll come out of this not too bad. Try and meet the challenges that come up, because there's certainly going to be some. Hopefully that we get a handle on this COVID-19 so that it doesn't impact us as much as it did earlier, and we figure out a way around that, and we somehow get back to a semi-normal situation. But I don't think truly we're ever going to be normal again. So we just have to get used to the new normal. That's going to impact every aspect of our life, but especially the schools.
Thank you, Bob. And Margaret French?
In closing, I'd just like to say that I would love to be part of the school committee, part of our town administration, and just be a support and a resource, especially for our teachers. I have, with my background and my current job, I do have resources that maybe I can get our kids involved in STEM activities through UMass Dartmouth or through some of our other local institutions. And maybe that'll take some of the pain of the money off of our school district, but still give some of our students some opportunities. I just like to offer everything I have to the school committee and to our community and our students.
Okay, thank you very much. That wasn't as painful as it could have been. Thank
Lucille.
you, all of you, for agreeing to do this Zoom session. Tim has been recording it, and he is going to post it. He's thought it might be posted as early as tomorrow, after the other group is the people who are running for selectmen after they talk. And so it'll be up on the town website. And thank you so much. I really appreciate your willingness to give your ideas and to help everybody to make their decision about who to vote for, because a lot of people don't know everybody. I didn't know Margaret, and I didn't know Jennifer. So doing something like this is very helpful for the voter, and I do appreciate the time that you spent to do this together.
Lucille,
Thank you so much. Have a good day, and good luck, all of you.
Lucille, if I
Thank
can
you,
interrupt you
Lucille.
for a minute.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know the other two candidates and myself really appreciate the opportunity that you gave us. And for the other two candidates, Lucille she does this every year, among other things, that she's like I said at the start, she's always does this. She's busier than you can imagine, and to take this time to do this too, I want to extend my appreciation to her, and I'm sure you do too. because she really is a busy woman, and she does this every year. So
Thank you, Bob.
thank you, Lucille. I really-
Usually we do it at the auditorium at the elementary school, where people from the town can come and ask questions themselves. But as you know, that could not happen this year. So this is a fabulous substitute, and I'm glad we could all figure it out. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you, Lucille.
Thank you, Lucille.
You're welcome.
And
Bye-bye.
thank you, Tim.
Bye-bye. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Have a great one, everyone.
Thanks, you too.